Good morning everyone, this is Michael from NCY store and we're starting another day here. You can see how cold this is out here. The grass has a little bit haze of the kind of the ice frosting over it. So let's check out our cylinder head here we had out of the spare. See how it's doing. More than likely this is probably the final call for it. We're not going to be messing with it too much anymore because we got to move on. We got a lot of stuff to do here. We got to put our gauge cluster on there. I realized that, you know what, instead of putting the fan shroud here, let me take this cover off. Instead of putting the fan shroud for right now, that's how we actually found out that we had a leak cylinder head, was we actually tested out it open. So why don't we keep that way until we actually for sure know there's no more leak? Because we installed a new cylinder, and it's my fault. I should have realized that not to use an old cylinder gasket from a year ago, especially when you don't even have it retouched sprayed on there. And it's probably what caused the whole cylinder leak in the first place. But that's okay. It got us to test out something new. We tested out the Taida head. By the way, I did tell you guys that all I had to do was use a mallet hammer to drive this in. Not very true at all. Because what happened was I decided to go ahead and just not have the shock dangled. So I bolted the shock in first, which it looks amazing. So instead of messing with the bottom bolt here that I had to put a little extra washer here, because you can see here on the other side it kind of pressed on this a little bit, but it doesn't spin the washer. That means it's pretty tight here. We're not looking for like it to be really gripping tight. I put some blue Loctite on thread ends right here, so that means it's going to be secure. And then on this side, of course, you didn't have to use any other extra washer other than the one that came with it, that little kind of a sort of more of a flexible. But you see how beautiful it looks. Sorry, it's really cold out here, so my camera is able to record a long time because it doesn't overheat. Normally it only records up to about an hour, so the cold kind of benefits that way a little bit, you could say. So you can see there, it looks really nice. Wow. Woo! A little moist there. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're probably not going to actually put the fan shroud. We're going to take it back off. And again, in order to get the two bolted, I recommend this. Just to save you some pain, because it wasn't just my dad that helped me. We took my brother, my sister helped me with the shocks, and my mom, okay? The whole family got involved. But, you know, they didn't realize that, you know, I didn't need them just to push it in there. I need them actually aligned it. So, you know how sometimes the female in your families they're not really mechanically inclined. So, not to say all females are like that. I'm sure there's a lot of great scooter tuning females out there who probably do better than guys. But for my case, my family, they're more like into their traditional stuff, you know, color their hair, cooking and stuff like that. So more like the woman stuff. But yeah, this one is pretty much, I had my mom and my sister help me align, which they really didn't do much. So my brother came in and, you know, he helped align it, and we popped it in. Because I had to lift the scooter up and so forth, right? It would help to have a little jacket and so forth, but not necessarily. I think you could have done it. I think the challenging part is don't bolt your shocks on there first. Get your center, I guess you can call this the hanger, the engine hanger, on there securely. Because this right here would not come into the thread no matter how much I wiggled here, wiggled there, because it was so secured by those two shocks. It was already aligning it perfectly. It would not give any kind of leeway for these, because the shocks, you have leverage. You have the whole shock handle as your leverage to bend and flex, right? You know, but this one you don't. You have precisely enough to get this guy perfectly parallel to go into that bolt line, and then you can tie down. You can see here some blue Loctite residue. I put blue Loctite on everything. Here, and also here, I remember. Now, we went the other way, actually. We drove it this way because I guess, you know, for goodness sake, we just drove it that way. But we could have got it the other way too, because remember again, we put this one pattern in first, so we drove it in this way. I probably could have got, now I could probably take this off and put the, what do you call that? The other nylon washer. I mean nylon nut. But it's okay for right now. I mean, it's already got blue Loctite on there. Maybe on the next event we'll be able to do that, but right now it's fine. Let's see here. So we're going today we're going to focus on is getting our gauge cluster in. We're going to get the basic stuff to get our scooter metered and running. We're going to get our PWK carb installed, of course. We're going to cut the tie strap so we can remove the old CDK cable line, because we got the new one ready routed. I had this securely in my bag here, so I don't get any dust in the PWK carb. And the dogs are up in the morning giving us their hello. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this over here like this. We're going to take this all out. Again, these plastics are so cheap. If you get annoyed by these, you know, Chinese scooter, is mainly because what gives it a bad reputation. One thing is they use the bare minimum parts. That's when you actually, when you're placed out with some quality, you know. Well, most of them manufactured in China, let's say. Some are really exceptional. They do a good job. But for the majority of them, oh, that's a nice dog. It's like a white color. Almost like a wolf. Isn't that weird? Wow, beautiful dog. You see him? It's like a wolf color. Look at that. Hey, how are you? Beautiful dog. He's a friendly dog. Yeah. Okay, so sorry about that. I got distracted. I'm not really a dog person. I guess I am a little bit, somewhat, but not much. Especially when that dog, my own dog, doesn't like my scooter. That's just really disappointing. But he's probably just jealous. So, tension-wise. Here we go. So, we got this here. We're going to go and put the gauge cluster on there. And I don't think this will interfere. Again, we have a few gripe of the chip mark. I was talking about how cheap they are. The cheap Chinese plastic. You got one chip right here already. You know, I'm going to call it as it is. You know what I mean? I see it. I mean, as I come in, you got, you know, chips that comes off easily with the paint. And then you got, I believe, the tank somewhere here in the bottom here. I scrub as much as I can off of one corner here. Yeah, there it goes. Look at that. Easily just chips off right there in the gas tank, the most critical. Lucky it's not the inside as far as I know. And of course, some stuff I made, I need to actually enamel back or cover it back with some good primer if I'm going to decide to paint afterward. I'd rather just use something quick. It's because mainly it's just the inside. And then I also have a crack here easily. Well, my fault anyway. I mean, this was only held on by a little bit of force. You can see here, this right here, it's almost trying to come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with some super glue or some kind of, I bought this thing where it actually turns things to rubber with a UV light. So I want to show you guys that it actually works. If that's the case, then what it is like a gel. And then you put it on, and when the exposed UV light, it turns into hard plastic. So it's like, it makes plastic for you. It's not like a super glue. So we're going to get that. I should support it more by putting a little tie strap, because these things are interlocked. They'll create a little bit more support. And then another piece broke off of here where it's going to hold the foot rail that hooks onto the housing here. So I got them all pieced out like broken teeth. You know, I save them. Yeah, and these are the 3 pieces so far I found. I think I'm missing one. This is the one that actually hooks on to like right here when the housing comes for the little plastic rail for your foot rest for your passenger. And it goes the whole thing stripped down. But yeah, this one right here broke off the housing, so I got here. This one broke off the, oh, you already know what this one is. This one broke off right here. So we'll hopefully probably be able to glue that one back on. It goes the other way, I think, or maybe this way. Anyway, you can't really tell too much. Goes probably like this or something like that. So that goes on there. Now this little chip was broke on before, so it's an old break. And I guess some certain super glue doesn't really glue certain plastics. So maybe this was the one. But yeah, it went right here in the fan shroud area. When we were trying to move the scooter and trying to wiggle this around, it broke the original spot where it broke out from. You can see all these ones are not big deal ones. Just worry about the what do you call it? The foot rail here. I don't want this thing to flap right here because it doesn't have that other piece of plastic. So I'll try to fix that one as well. This one doesn't seem like a hard fix. So most of them are not hard fixes. They're just small little plastics, chips here and there. I was expected to see how much we put on the engine. So this one goes right there. So there's a little chip mark there. So yeah. Hopefully get that guy back in there. Not big deal. Oh, I just dropped the piece. There we go. All right, so now what we're gonna do is just install the gauge cluster, because I feel bad for this one. I feel like something's gonna yank on this one right here and take these 2 nostrils out, and that's it. That's really what's holding. I keep throwing my parts away. I gotta stop holding it by my hand. Look at that, I just lost it again. I found it, I lost it. Now it's plastic, so I can't really get a metal thing to detect it. All right, where did you fail to? Did you ricochet back a little bit more when I hit you? Yep, that dog wants to go play with the other dog. Oh, here it goes. Can't even tell because the white background is facing it. It's supposed to be black. All right. So yeah, a lot of things we're gonna take care of. Our exhaust, we're gonna put that on there. Again, we're gonna take off the fan trap, but let's go and put this on first because I just don't feel that these things are gonna hold any more stronger. Oh, but we're gonna first of all check to see how our little scrub thing going on. We'll bring a little scrub tool here. Let's check it out. See how well it does. You know, I'm thinking also for the copper spray, I might have got a good spray, just to let you guys know if you guys are going to do it yourself again. Maybe angle it vertically and spray it, because I think I want to put down. Again, this copper spray is a year-old can, though. You know, I didn't spray it since the last attempt I did on that other first one that caused us a problem. So this is a year-old can. Maybe it's the mixture has an expiration date. I don't know. Let's see what it says. Doesn't say anything but best used before. That's assuming that people usually buy this stuff and use it right away, right? Or they use it within 6 months. But yeah, anyway, I did spray it downward like this, so maybe that's what's causing it not to come out the copper contact. So if you maybe hold it, the gasket vertical, and spray it vertical too, you know, you can use a cardboard behind it still, but maybe that'll give it a little bit more copper spray to it. But we'll never know until I try it next time. Hopefully I'm getting a little tired of it, but hopefully we'll make sure this engine actually seals well, so we don't have to do it a third time. I'll probably be a super expert by then. Okay, so let's check it out. I'm gonna go and put some gloves on before I grab a hold of this, because I'm not feeling it with my fingers still, even though it's healing quite nicely. Still kind of dry. See there, my fingers healing quite nicely. Not too bad. You can't even tell anymore. And it's not splitting open anymore. It looked like the scab is forming. Amazing. How the human body heals. Every cell gets replenished. I guess that dog was running out there because he thought I was going to pick him up eventually. Alright. So here we go. We're going to go and open that guy up. See how it's like. This is it. This is the final curtain call. There's no more parts to be rinsed or cleaned. Hopefully we can just assemble them and get all these parts in here, so that way we don't have to worry about a whole bunch of loose parts everywhere. Oh, there's like ice chips here. Look at those ice chips. They fell from the bag. That's how freezing it is. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a popsicle now. Yeah, this is cold. Alright. Not too shabby. Gasoline still looks very clean. Let me just give it a final. Maybe do one more scrubbing, finalize it just to make doubly check. We don't have to worry about the top part, we just have to worry about the lower part. So, alright, let's check it out. Here we go. What do you think? Good as new or be improved on? Get a piece of cardboard here. We can set it. Not bad, huh? We see a little bit of that dark area still. A little bit here, you can see much more clear now where it's left. Look at that one right there. Much more cleaner than previously. Look like the ice is melting. Look like it's raining, but it's just ice melting from the rooftop. So, not too bad. Oh, I did get the GoPro. I'm excited to set that up eventually soon. I'll probably do the same time unboxing it with my helmet. That way you guys can see a whole setup what I'm doing as far as gear goes. But this is still being recorded on our Note 5 Samsung. Okay, so let me go and do a little bit more scrubbing here. And we got our clean sponge still. And let's just hit that little crit area there. It's still not, look at that, it does come off. So that's not a problem. Yeah, it does come off. Surprised we scrubbed it previously. Why didn't it take it off with the gasoline, right? Maybe it's just the residue. There, look at that. Actually, it's even more shinier. Almost good as new, actually, now. Look at that. We just did one pass a little final pass here. This is the final pass. I'm just gonna rinse in oil and that's it. No more. We're gonna just dump this gasoline out. We're gonna dump this gasoline out and that's it. All right. Maybe the gasoline's helping break it up more. Okay, so I'm gonna go and try getting that little crit area. The one that we had a hard time. There. See all that little crit? All that's like right here. Try to get that guy out here, the spot. It's probably maybe, oh, there it goes, coming off. So, well, somewhat, but he is coming off. There you go, look. Almost no trace of that. Then we got the other side here. So that's not yet. Early in the morning, putting all my elbow grease on this already. I've got to be careful. That's why I was so kind of tired pulling the engine in. There you go, look at that. Someone's gone. Okay, shove this in there one more time. Try to get all the little area that we can't get our fingers in. Give it a good wedgie burn. All right. Not going to be able to get all in that little crit area, but I'm very happy that we got this part looking like we can't even see any more of that blown head side. Look at that. You can tell slightly, a little bit, there's a shadow here. So let me see if I can go over it real quick. Look at that. Grade it out or spread it out. Nice. Okay. All right, so it's getting there. All right, that's it. We don't have to worry about too much, and we're not going to put any more sprayed on gas exhaust. We're going to keep it dry, intake manifold and everything. So we should be good. We won't have this scrubbing problem. Well, we never did have it on the exhaust side, but it was just built up from the carb, seriously. So let me go and stuff this guy in here. See if I can get a little bit more scrubbing down for him. This is it, no more. Wow, it took us what, 3 days of scrubbing and checking? I think maybe even 4. But again, if you had like a, you know, sandblaster tool or a wire wheel, you would took out some of the material slightly, but you would definitely took out some of or 95% or 99% of all this other grime here that we would spend. So if you don't have the time or the patience, definitely just take the flywheel tool out, wire wheel, and just do it. I just want to see which chemical actually did well as well. And I wasn't very confident using the flywheel because I didn't feel like I'm confident in taking all that material off that I'm not aware of. So probably safer just to use chemical and keep it out of the fumes away from you. You should be okay. There we go. So we just used a razor blade. The plastic one didn't do us any good. A razor blade. Get all the little crit area there on top too. Yeah, this is very much good as new, if anything. Okay, and we're gonna do a final rinse on this guy. Just get a little bit here. Okay, and then we're gonna have him dry, and then we're gonna reassemble him with the rest of his body parts. Okay, so let's go and put him in the rinser or gasoline. All right, give it a twirl there. Okay, let's do it the opposite direction where all the holes are near. Can't do this with water. You could, but you have to make sure you leave it dry or get it all out, because water could leave a pretty bad residue. It's like a washing machine, right? How it cycles. Okay, there we go. All right, we're gonna go ahead and leave this guy to dry. this is it. How come there's still a mark here? I can't stand when I see things and, you know, let me just get it out. Look at that, easy to come off. All right, one more time in there. All right. Come on. Good? You're good? Okay. So let's go ahead and just leave him out to dry. Literally, leave him out to dry. All right, so we'll put him facing whichever. Doesn't really matter. If you face it this way, he won't be able to stand on his own. If you face him this way, he won't be able to. Well, he could stand a little bit here, but there's really no way of coming out and through a spark plug, which is fine either way. All right, so we're good there. All right, let's go ahead and prepare. We'll leave this guy hanging out here. We'll put this out of our way for a second. Hooked onto the bottom of this. Probably gonna change our oil as well as our gear oil. That'll be the last thing once we get everything's all checked in. So we'll just leave this guy out here. Let me see if I can face him the other way. A little cleaner cardboard side. There we go. Just leave him there, right there. Okay. All right, let's go and get back to where we were here. Get a towel to wipe this off. We're going to go ahead and put the gauge cluster on here. And I believe I still have dielectric, or not dielectric, sorry. This is what I put in here. I put a little bit of moly graphite grease on here. That way to keep it lube for the long run. So let me go and get some moly here before we assembled our guy here. Let me go and put this stationary out. You can see it. Tape him up a little bit. Probably leave him here for a second while I bring the gauge cluster and everything too. Okay, let me wipe my hands from the gasoline, which is good for cleaning anyway. But wiping my gloves, like I used to say. Alright, I'm going to take one glove off. That way you can see it. I'm going to put a little dabble of moly graphite grease onto here. I guess this is what I use for my cable lube a little bit. Not for the throttle one, because I don't want that moly graphite to get out everywhere. Yeah, just this one prevents it. Anything that spins causes friction, anything, you want to make sure you grease it, because you don't want to wear out your mechanism. You just need to get on here. You don't need to get on the threads or anything. The threads you should be able to keep dry. Got a little bit on this thread. Just trying to keep my pinky the only one that's getting dirty here. Okay, it's going to get a little bit more dirty too, because we're about to assemble this and shove it. That square, it's a square kind of cable. Going to shove it onto our thing. This will put a little bit more support, not a lot I would say, but it's going to hang up on somewhere here where it's not going to depend on those two nostrils again. So we're going to do our best here. I'm going to go ahead and get these guys pre-set up. Going to connect the wires. See how it hangs a little bit? Just hangs a little bit, just helps. And we'll get the glass soon, but let's go ahead and get started on seeing how to get this guy. Well, we already know last time, but yeah, hook up. So we're putting it back in our gauge here, our D2. It's going in our D1, which I label myself. So this is for reference. I matched it with, well, supposedly it's fading out though, but D2, well, we know now. We took it off so many times, try and troubleshoot the alarm. And we still have not figured out yet the auto start one. Again, APM did mention that it could have been possible that his kill switch there has to be in the off position in order for it to work. And also he had to close the connection here on the green wire that runs to his tail light. But mine is different, I believe, because it's already been closed already. The wires worked. The only thing that's not connected again was the Givy, but then those were tap wires. They're not making like a separate open connection. So it still had a closed main connection. Where that actual green, see there it goes, mine's the green. And the green and yellow that he mentioned, it runs to the back of the tail light too. So it's always been connected. I never had any issue with the lights not working with the alarm, but the remote start did not work. It's still with the alarm module. I'm thinking of maybe why not do without the key fob, right? Arm it. I guess when you're away from it, maybe have it automatically. I'm sure they're making that right now as I'm talking about it, or they already have it out. Or you could push start without the key, keyless start, without even the remote fob. Just have there sort of like the sensor near you, which I'm sure some electronic guru like APM could probably do that. All right, so there we go. We got the D2 connected. Sorry, I can't really see it from here. So there we go. I got that in there now. Okay. Okay, gotta get that last guy in the background. So I should have had it come in consecutively together. Now it's got kind of working sort of like butt heading now. But it's okay. We'll get it. Come on. There it go. Need you to face in a little bit. There it goes. Push down. Done. I think the electric grease is still in there. I didn't like the big tube too much. I really like the small one because you have more control and you get into tighter space and squeeze right into it. That's why I just like, if you are going to buy the electric grease, go with the smaller tube with the little nozzle for you, because you need to get into these little hole areas right here, and you can get into them easily with a smaller tube, you know. Not only that, but it has that needle tubing where you can actually see what you're, you know, trying to feed in some dielectric. All right, so let's go and let's see if we can pull the boot back up. The boot was just kind of hanging out here, so let me put this for a second here. Tilt it upward. You guys can still see me. I'm gonna try to raise the boot to cover our connections there. First of all, I got to secure this tripod. Yeah, we're going to be using the same tripod here. It's just going to have the GoPro connection to it, because I guess it does allow you to screw on and not have to clamp on for the Note 5. It'll have the GoPro connection, so you just screw the GoPro connection on. Alright, so there goes our rubber boot. And before we even put that rubber boot on, let me go ahead and, well, let me put the rubber boot on, you know, one at a time, and then I'll go ahead and jump to the other side and get the odometer cable wind it up. So let me get these guys all shoved in here. Oh man, I spent almost a good all night wiring this in, where most scooters have it already built in. Lucky them. 5 minutes. It was a plug and play alarm installation and the remote starter work, which I'm still trying to figure out mine. So I'm trying not to put too much pressure on the housing at the front. I don't want to hear another pop, because that's what happens to the back housing, because I knew it's going to eventually give in because it has no other support. Right, there it goes. The rubber boot is actually covering itself up really nicely. You can look at it. You can't see it unless I pull my finger this way. How about that? See that? It's covering nicely. And that's what I want. Hopefully no wires actually popping out. I would be devastated. Alright. Alright. Alright, there you go. Nice. Okay, you can check it out. See there? The rubber boot, it's all in. All in. These wires are just the way they are, but it's really nice. It's inside the rubber boot, and that's a clean installation. There we go. See that? Only wires you see is pretty much to the harness of the alarm itself. Everything else was kind of wired to the ignition and also to the gauge cluster. I believe D1 and D2 I think maybe play the role, as well as the ignition wire. So this whole bundle was kind of tapped into. But other than that, you don't see any other wires other than the 2 power wires coming to the horn. And that's it. Very clean. I like it. So let's go and get that cable in there. I think it was either easier to reach it here. I can't remember. So let me try. As soon as we reach that in there, we can plug the other. Well, the other thing is already plugged. Let's make sure our fuel gauge cluster, the pin is over that little needle. That's why we took it off the second time, right? So yeah, it's over there now. We're like thinking, man, we have a full tank, but how come it shows empty still? because this little needle here was below that little needle there, and it kind of like click, 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 click. It was trying to move up, but it couldn't do it. And I guess I was playing with it because once you reset it like this, it will go back down the opposite. So you can actually just, don't actually jump it. You don't have to, just go counterclockwise it, bring it back up here. All right, so here we go. I see the thread. I just want to see if I can angle it where you guys can see it. I'm about to put it in. See if I can bring it in. All right, there we go. You see that little nipple? I'm about to reach over, grab my silver here. See which way I want to take it. Okay. Let me get it in first nearby, and then see me insert it. There we go. Got inserted now. Okay. You almost want to feel like it's going in, and you don't want to make sure it's crowded. You can lift this out a little bit. It's not bolted on yet, so it's probably easier to do it while you don't. Let me see if I can get battery on the other side. Check it out. My hand's gonna be harder, but see, this one's already connected. We don't have to worry about this harness here. This was going to our RPM. Might be able to get this way better. We'll see. All right. Not really. You guys can see it better, but I won't be able to reach over here easily without. I mean, I love to be the expandables for you, but unfortunately I can't. But you guys can definitely get a better angle here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to screw that in, and let's see if I can actually move the tripod. Let's take this guy out. See, this is how I wrap the tripod. Little spider legs. And then next we're going to do is we're going to cut out all these cables to hold our old CVK cable, save it. We're going to get that adjusted in. Okay, here we go. Actually, I like to do things on camera. The reason why, it actually prompts me to actually do things on camera. A lot of people, I guess they don't want to because it's just so much inconvenience. But I realize that it actually trains you to work a little bit more faster, even though I know my videos are long. But trust me, it would have been even longer if I was contemplating by myself. So this one gives you like a time pressure. You got like, okay, people are watching, don't waste their time. Get going. All right, so here we go. We got that there, okay? So I'm gonna come over from the other side. And now I can actually do it without, worry. Okay, there we go. Now I can feel it. You want to feel that the square is going in, and you don't want to feel like the square is actually being left out. So I'm going to take it out. You can see here, it is going in. And I want to make sure I'm not cross-threading it, even though I'm just hand tightening it. There we go. And it should glide in there. And that's it. It looked like it almost a good, probably 2 centimeter drive in. Okay, you want to give it a good tight because this thing will vibrate. All that shaking it does. I'm leaving the tie strap in there for future takeoff because I don't want that little cap to actually slide all the way to the bottom of the cable rail again. I mean the cable line. And that'll create a little bit more work. So there you go, it's done. We probably won't be able to test this out until we actually get the battery and everything hooked on. Okay, so in the meantime here, all the cables and everything connection look good. Looks very nice, very clean. I'm very happy. I'm not too confident in the handlebar still because I really want to, this thing bugs me a little bit. Try to get this guy to flush perfectly. So we might need to take this all off and re-drill the hole. I'll save that for another time. Maybe I'll have to do it off camera a little bit. But yeah, something like that you might want to give it a little bit more attention to and focus. But you guys seen the idea, right? I pretty much pre-drilled it. Try to move the hole off. By the way, I don't think the, what do you call that? The J&B weld probably did a good job as far as, because it only messed with thin fill-ins and there was no backing support or front support, right? But what the idea was, it just to hold that in place. So you might want to leave a little bit, not sand it all the way down like I did. And that's another tidbit of what not to do afterwards. All right, so we're gonna get this guy aligned. Let's see if there's any metal screw here, because we always have to have metal screw before we installed it. So there's metal screws underneath this guy. Oh, I can't pull all the way out anymore, so I better be careful. Okay, there's no metal screw in here because the odometer reading is hooked onto it. Okay, now very simple part. It's going to take 4 of these big fatties. Call them big fatties because there's a skinnier version of it. And these are all fatties. Want to make sure because they are responsible. See, this one's a little long one. I think it's just a fatty. So we'll need 4 of these guys to be able to close our, you know, non-transparent solid black here. I think it's paint on black, but still really cool. Let me go ahead and just give it a good clean first. Take a nice shop rag, kind of wipe it down. I'm gonna probably need my tripod thing back, right? So look at this, how I wrapped it. That's what you guys don't see behind the scene. So yeah, what it is it screws off here, right? So instead of having a clamp on, which it allows you to push out like this, it'll still have this, but it won't have the other base that just clamps on to your Note 5. It'll have the one that you can screw off. There's another attachment that'll attach my GoPro. So I'm looking forward to that. Look at this monkey. I was just watching on YouTube. There was I guess what do you call those bigger apes? Is it orangutan or chimpanzee? It was a very scary chimpanzee. Can actually kill you because they're violent. Man, it was on the top of an electrical pole, like one of those guys right there, big ones, and it was like hanging. The guy shot him with a dart, and he was aggressive. He was coming after the guy. The guy's like doing him a favor, like, dude, I'm trying to shoot you down versus the electrocution shooting you down. And lo and behold, he went to the other side and got the electrocution. He's like, that wasn't that much painful compared to the dart. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, animal instinct. I think they're closest native, I guess, to all the features of a human being, but emotional intelligence, everything like that, maybe is not included. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go and put this on here. But I'm going to go ahead and clean this up first. Get a little shop rag here. I'm surprised I actually kept this in one piece. Surprisingly, with all the traffic of me moving everywhere, I'm surprised. Well, knock on wood, right, or knock on something, because it hasn't, you know, other than a dog scratching it up purposely, it hasn't really broken. So it's pretty cool. Now, I'm sure if worse comes to worse, you can always take these plastic and get it molded somewhere, but I mean, for the price you pay for it, it's almost time to look into getting a new scooter housing. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and get the Phillips on this guy. It's coming around pretty neatly. Had some pistachio, those are good. This is the fatter head one. I need the fatter one. Alright, so we're going to put the 4 screws on these guys. Watch me do something silly and maybe drop it or something. So I'm going to try to be careful. There you go, you guys can see as well. Put the... See, you have to get the holes aligned, so... Even though this... Oh, there we go. There we go. Now the holes are coming. You can see through them, right? But make sure it hits the metal, which is probably is more than likely. Okay, so I'm going to do... I am going to put this guy in here, or try to anyway. Be a good time to have a third hand right now. Oh, we did see the hole, right? So, oh no, it's not. It's definitely not. Alright, so anyway, that's kind of hooked onto there. Let me go and get on this side. See if I can get aligned and hooked. Hook and sinker. Okay, so I have to press on like this. Give it a little press. Okay, I feel like this one's gripping the metal. Okay, this one needs to grip the metal also. So you can see here the little metal protruding out. Just want to maybe curve your I mean, it will correct itself, but probably want to help a little bit. Okay, this one's going in all the way, so you want to see if it actually comes through the metal. See that one right there, and that one. Actually, surprisingly, that one actually came through the metal too. See it from behind? See that? It's coming from the metal. I haven't put that last fourth one in the other corner yet, but I'll do it once I get my screwdriver ready. Or I could do a little bit here, get these guys tightened out a little bit more better before I blow up my chances. Like that. There we go. Don't want to tighten them all the way, you still need some leg room. That was it. That's how you take out your front panel. How easy is that? 4 screws, interlock. So one great thing about the scooter is the simplicity, accessing everything. Only hard part was that engine mount, that center engine mount. It was my fault. I shouldn't lock. I mean, come on, what do you expect? You pretty much stabilize the rear to perfect alignment, and you expect this to actually bend for you so you can actually maneuver. You want to get the center engine hanger bolt on first, and then worry about your rear wheel and attachment and your assembly next, because that wasn't a walk in the park at all. It took us 4 of us to figure it out. And my brother, who helped me, wasn't my brother, but my brother-in-law. He builds homes, so he knows a little bit more about precision and everything, and he built them really well. I mean, he doesn't do it for a living, he just does it for a hobby, but man, that guy can build anything you want, like a closet, like a walk-in closet, anything. And he does it superbly well. I mean, more than the actual licensed contractor can do. He owns his other business somehow. He does something else, but he owns multiple properties. But man, when it comes to repair, he saves a ton of money by being able to do that all on his own. A lot of things that you would never think that a normal person should be able to do, like electrical work, being an electrician and stuff like that. He wires it. Just a really smart guy. But he did want to help me with the Gibby one, and that didn't turn out right. it kind of reversed on it, so I guess he didn't realize the importance of a lock washer or a washer, period. So I can't give him full credit for that one. All right, so anyway, this is good. One less thing to worry about. Okay, again, these are plastic, so I'm just feeling it out, making sure it's actually tightening on its own, but not over tightening. See, because you have a lot of leverage here in this handle. You can spin it freely. You just want it to dig in the metal, and that's it. You notice I'm coming back and forth. And this thing right here, it's interlock. So it's like a 2-piece mechanism here that lines up the rail. So we'll get that squared away. This dash has been here for a long time, but I really like the tape setup. I mean, it looks so clean. It's a beautiful bike still. I mean, you know, aka scooter. Man. All right, so we got the front part down. I mean, I would love to, you know what I want to do after this is done? I want to take it to a Jack in the Box drive-in. You know, I'm not giving any kudos to Jack in the Box, but I love their big, really big chicken sandwich. I mean, they brought it back, and they brought it with quadruple. I don't think you can really eat that much chicken patty. But I am looking forward to taking it to a drive-thru, ordering that big chicken sandwich, get some buttermilk sauce, dip it with some fries, and just say, man, life is good. But before we can do that, let's get the PWK started, because ain't gonna happen. That's just a facade right now. So here we go. We got all the things supposedly hooked onto it nicely. Yep. You can see here a little bit of that grease. Now be careful with this time when we're bleeding our brakes. If you can see, we put the Allen bolts in there. We're gonna put our NCY back on there too when we actually change our brakes. So I'm not worried about it. The blue, I can live with that. The blue handlebar, you know, it goes great. Maybe people really think I'm a police officer, because they think those are the blue sirens or something nearby. Blue, red, white, go figure. I got pulled over again with an actual police cop behind me, and that wasn't cool. I almost wish I didn't pretend to be like him. But maybe he thought I was a little comrade for trying to be like him. Who knows? That's why he let me go off the hook without even a warning ticket or anything. Again, I'm doing this illegally as far as driving without a motorcycle's license, so don't say anything yet. I didn't realize, I guess I do, but I wasn't sure if it was, because in California it's different, like 150cc, I believe you might need a driver's motorcycle license, but I never had a need for one. I mean, I just drove this all the time with it, so I'm going to continue on doing it until I pay the price later. But I do have insurance. Now, mind you, my insurance, hopefully not for record, they can find this anywhere on the web. As far as they know, the original engine that's in there, it's in there. So it's a 149 157 QMJ. That's the engine block that was in there with the CVT. They don't need to know every detail of what you do, right? There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and take out these tie straps and get rid of this CVK. And this thing was wearing out too, by the way, if you look at it. Is this the end of it? Yeah, I'll show you. I mean, it was breaking to one point here, and I'm glad I'm replacing it too. I covered it with the insulator, but it was getting brittle. So we're going to take the tie strap, cut this all off, and then we're going to run our PWK line a little bit more neater. We can actually run it right now. Next thing we do is actually, let's take out our fan shrouds. Again, I know I regret it. I blew Loctite already, but it's better safe than sorry. We really want to inspect it to see what's going on, to see if there's any kind of, remember that side smoke again that we found out? It blew our head gasket seal because we used the old gasket. So that wasn't good. Look at that. Not too shabby. Gasoline residue leaves a little bit of that tar whiteness in there. We can always just kind of wipe it down a little bit better with some clean shop rag after all said and done. But it's still nice and clean though. Okay, so going back to where we were, we're going to go and get the fan shroud off because we really want to inspect things to make sure it's done right. And we could take it off easily. I know that the cylinder height is about pretty much the same because if everything's secured, if you look at my shocks, they're barely almost scraping the side of my tire, but they're not. So I can still ride freely, amazingly enough. Yep. And besides, we need to glue that little piece anyway once we put back. So I think we can take this off without any problem. I believe we took it off before with the engine mounted, so that shouldn't be a problem. Now the CVK cover, that's not going back in there unless we take the engine down. So that's almost like a done deal. We're not going to put any more CVK cover, nor do we need a Kickstarter mechanism. So that right there is for sure. So let me go and take off the take the bolt off here and break off my blue Loctite that we worked on. And the blue Loctite is still going strong. I'm just really surprised that there's just so much in here. Again, we've probably used very little to really notice it, that's why. But the thing about it, when it comes out a lot. It tricks you sometimes thinking there's not enough in there anymore, and then suddenly it just burps out like a bunch. All right, so let's go ahead and get our 8mm socket. You know, step by step. You know, I'm not going to strain myself. I'm going to enjoy the process. You know, I have a good friend of mine. He's in the Crusoe Island now. He's become a good friend now. He's a customer. And, you know, he's doing it every weekend. He's an attorney by trade. And I guess he loves this kind of work because he's learned so much. I'm so impressed by his way of modifying the starter motor. The starter motor, for some reason, the Taida starter motor, because it's mounted to normally a GY6, and we thought his was the same, right? But for some reason, it was in the way, one of the bolt spacing. So he got, well, maybe this one was in the way. I'm not sure what he did, though. It doesn't really matter because you can modify it. What he did was, he moved down the Taida starter. It doesn't even have this. He had to break the solder joints here. Sorry. He broke the solder joints, and he twisted it, and he put a Phillip here and a Phillip here. He relocated the Phillip bolt that was actually usually screwed on, so you can actually take the whole housing with the base plate. But he needed the base plate to relocate itself because he needed to move this out of the way because it was actually hitting his crossbar like this right here. I guess it's called a crossbar. So he did that. He fixed that issue. The only issue he has now is actually getting his he's running real rich right now because his carburetor is tilted at 45 degree, which unevenly puts in fuel in the float bowl a little differently because you have to have the sort of the carburetor leveled a little bit. You know, it can be inclined a little bit slightly, you know, 45 degree going up and down like this, but not left and right because that'll definitely tilt your float bowl a little bit awkward. You know, some people use reverse clock flange and they go the other way, but in his situation, it's just like my scooter. There's no way we can go the other. So we're not like a ruckus. So right there, we have the ability to